Yes, sir, we're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Soap Studio DC The Flash TV show, The Flash figure review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey, I'm fucking with them. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about you.
And a quick look at the side of the box. You can see it says Soap Studio. It says The Flash, the fastest man alive. The Flash logo was there. 112 action figure. And there's the back without glare. There you go. You can see all of the little options and accessories and stuff that you have in here. A couple of pictures of the figure. And on the opposite side, it says more of the same. The Flash Season 1 112 action figure. All right, let's get this guy open, see what's what. All right, so I've got Barry Allen, a.k.a. The Flash, out of the package. This is Soap Studios' version of the CW TV show, The Flash. If you've been under a rock, CW has been doing a Flash TV show since 2014. I think they're going on their 5th or 6th season. I've casually watched the show over my girl's shoulder. She has watched it religiously, so I am pretty familiar with the characters and what's going on. I am familiar with the actor who plays the Flash, Grant Gustin, and the other characters on the show, and of course Iris, because she is Bay. There are some things that I definitely like about this guy. I also have the Green Arrow figure, which I'll be reviewing as well, and I got a chance to mess around with him a bit before I went into this review, and it's interesting. You know, I posted up a picture of this guy in plastic and paint and said that, you know, they've got my interest here. If you know me, I'm not a huge DC fan, so, you know, this is a little bit outside of my normal wheelhouse. You know, I'm a Marvel guy, but I can look at this objectively and let you guys know what I think. Shout out to Benji C from Instagram, who connected me with the fine folks at Soap Studio. Soap Studio is out of Hong Kong. I think they've done like a lot of sort of like pop figures, and I think they did a 112 scale Tumbler, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know that it's out. The Batman Tumbler, the Batmobile. I don't know that that's out yet, but this is their venture into 112 scale figures. And let's see what's what. He comes with quite a few accessories, so you know I'm going to go over everything. And while I am happy that I did get this review sample, I know that some other people in the community have gotten some review samples already. I know the vast majority of the people who pre-ordered these haven't received them yet. And like I said, while I am happy to get this, you know me, I'm not going to blow smoke up anybody's ass here. So I'm going to give it to you raw and uncut, and let you know what's what, and let you know what's great and what's not great about the figures. So let's do it. And taking a quick look at his deco and the design here, I do think they have a decent sculpt here as far as the body type of the fellow who plays the Flash. You know, he is long, he's lanky, and like sort of like slender, muscular. So I think they did a good job of capturing that. My man John Papa Sergio had made a comment when I showed the picture of this guy in the group, and said that these hands look kind of big. And yeah, these open hands with the fingers slightly spread do look a little on the large side, in my opinion, as well. But these are the ones that were attached to him out of the package. He's got a couple of separate sculpted parts here. The belt is a separate sculpted part, so it does not hinder the articulation. And these shin guards, I guess you can say, are separate sculpted parts. And you know, most of the costume is material. There is a nice sort of mesh material here on the arms and the midsection, and a sort of faux pleather on the legs and the chest. And the head is not material. You know, most companies like Mezco that do characters with material clothing will then do the head sculpted with just plastic, and that's what you have here. I do think that the face is a little soft. Though somebody had mentioned that they didn't like the fact that it was sort of that plastic that was just skin tone plastic. You know, it's not really painted. There's not much of a paint job there. I think it looks okay. It is a little soft. At least the paint work on the eyes looks really good. No wonky eyes or anything like that. The shape of the head looks fine. The stitching down the back looks okay. So not bad. I think it's pretty accurate. The emblem here looks good on the front, on his chest. But yeah, I do think it's accurate to the TV show. And so far, so good. Not bad here. So let's swap on some of the different hands he comes with. And let it be known that I was actually trying to pull off the hand, and I pulled the arm out of the socket here. And I guess I'll be able to just get that back in. But I wanted to note that. Might as well take a look at that arm. You can see there's a nice deep double joint there on the arm, on the elbow. So that's cool. Alright, I got that back on. That was not fun, but taking a look at the wrist pegs, you can see those are very small. And taking a look at his second set of interchangeable hands, these are the hands that you will probably use for running. You know, they're flat with the fingers close together. No space in between the fingers, so if you wanted to get him in a running pose, these are probably the best hands for that. And I screwed up the material here right on the wrist, putting that arm back in, so that's unfortunate. I don't know, maybe my girl will be able to fix it, I'm not sure, but yeah, you can definitely get him in a decent running pose with these. But just like the previous set, I do think these hands might just be a little on the large side. And then he's got a set of fists, and these look better now that the hands are closed. As far as the size goes, I think the fists are probably the best fit in terms of scaling. And obviously you can use these for running or for squaring up, for punching, whatever you want. And he also comes with an additional open left hand with the fingers slightly spread. And I guess you could use this to have him reaching out to grab something, or, you know, setting up the punch like he looks like he's doing here. But again, I do think this is a little on a large side. Then aside from this fully masked head, he also comes with an unmasked head. And I'm not really a fan of the entire head and neck being one part. It's similar to the Mezco Joker and the upcoming Mezco Netflix Punisher. Alright, so full disclosure here, I'm shooting some of these segments the next day. I had got a little annoyed with this and put it down and went to do some other things, because early on, like I mentioned, I had messed up the material close to the wrist here. I had took to it with a little fire and burnt off the excess material or the string that was poking out there. And then I ended up snagging the costume here on like the rib cage on his left side. And I guess I'll take to some fire with this and burn that off too. So I got annoyed, and now I'm getting back to this. So I'll splice this together with other parts that I have to complete the review. But moving right along, we're going to get into his unmasked head. Like I mentioned, I'm not a fan of the fact that it's the entire head and neck in one piece. But let's see how this unmasked head looks. Not really a fan of that. There is some likeness there. They didn't quite nail it, but it's not horrible as far as the likeness goes. I just think that maybe the shape of the head is a little bit off. He looks a little bit goofy, but to be fair, the actual actor is kind of goofy too. They also included one other thing, which was his cowl here, which I thought was cool, but this is material. I don't know why they did that. I think it would have actually been better if it was just a sculpted plastic part. But they did something interesting here. If you can see, there's a little hole there, so you can actually peg this around the peg for the neck here and get it kind of draping back there. So I'll do that real quick. So yeah, a little soft on the face. Like I said, you can see some of his features here. My girl says his hair is a little too big. But I do like the fact that they did this, but I don't like the way the cowl sits though. Like I said, if this was a plastic part like other companies have done, like Marvel Legends, it would sit a lot better. It would look better in my opinion. But there's a look at that. You know, that does look pretty authentic. Again, I just wish this was draping down a little better. And then finally he comes with 4 of these little electric effects, which you can attach to his arms and legs, or wherever you want them, to simulate him going into super speed mode and running. So let me get get all of these on him. And I don't know if there's any right or wrong way to do this. This looks pretty awful right now. I'm all over the place with these things. I don't know. I would take a little more time when I really want to use them in something. But obviously you can use these with other figures as well. Obviously I'm already thinking about Storm and other Marvel characters I would want to use those with, but it's a nice effect, and it looks like they would get some nice light piping if you get some nice bright lights on them. Get a nice display going. I think it would look good. And it should be noted that he comes with a stand here that you have to assemble, and this is something that I never use with figures, but if you wanted to display your figure with a stand, you could. Alright, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about the good and the bad. Like I mentioned, I think that the buck here looks pretty good. It looks pretty good as far as this guy's body type. And, you know, I think him in a vanilla stance looks fine. I think when you get him in some dynamic stuff, it looks fine. But as we go over the articulation, I'll show you some of my issues with this particular buck and with the figure in general. So like I said, I snagged the material here on the left side and on the wrist, and I'm not a fan of how it doesn't meet here. It's not as clean. So when you start articulating the hands and moving this guy around, you can see this sort of black plastic underneath here, and I don't like the way that looks. The head and neck articulation is okay, considering that I don't like the fact that it's all one piece here. I really wish that I wish the head could move independently of the neck, because then you can actually get him looking up more when you got him in a running pose. And you know, that's his thing. He's the Flash. You got to get him in an authentic running pose, and you can't really do that with this articulation on the head and neck. Now, the actual material here is nice as far as the amount of give that it has. You can definitely move this around, and you know, I'm going to do some comparisons. I'm going to talk about Mezco because they are pretty much the premier company putting out figures with cloth clothing. I will say that the give here is a little better than quite a few Mezco figures that I've handled, but something is off with this body. I do think there are some better things about this body as in comparison to other Mezco figures. You do get a pretty nice range of motion. Look at that. You wouldn't really do that with a Mezco figure as far as trying to spin the arm around. If you get it up this far, that'll pretty much be it. But you do get a very nice range of motion. There's a butterfly joint here. You can do a 360 if you really wanted to. Probably when you get more than halfway around, it may tear. But you get way more motion on this guy than the typical Mezco figure. As you saw, there is a nice deep double jointed elbow, upper bicep swivel. You get a swivel. You don't really get a hinge on the wrist though, and I don't like that. The ball peg here is not one where the hand can kind of rotate and move on that joint, so you don't really get a hinge, and I don't like that. And again, you can see the exposure there. You get a nice ab crunch moving forward and back, so that's great. There is waist articulation, there's upper torso articulation at the pelvis. The legs can come up pretty far, they can go out pretty far. There is an upper thigh swivel, there is a double jointed knee. You get rotation at the foot, you get a hinge, you get a decent pivot. There is a toe joint, but I noticed that on this one, this is coming loose, so that's another issue. Now, what I don't like is this pelvic area. The butt is sort of like, I don't know, it's not smooth. It's not how it should be. And when you start articulating the legs, you can see this portion here is really, really sticking out, and it looks really angular and not like a butt. It looks really blocky, and it just does not look good there. I do not like that at all. And something's off underneath here as far as where his leg meets the pelvis and the butt. Something is off with this leg. I can't really tell what it is. I wish I could, well, I don't know, I guess I could take this apart. I'm doing stuff with this figure that I wouldn't normally do with a figure with cloth clothing because it was free, to be perfectly honest with you. But while this is a decent buck, this area here on the buttocks and the pelvic area is just weird. This is just really, really weird. But yeah, like I mentioned, I do think he looks good in a vanilla pose. And, you know, I'm kind of eager to work with this guy and get him in some displays and see what's really what with him. But yeah, let's get into some size comparisons. Alright, so here's how he stacks up with some figures from other lines. On the far left, that's an SH Figuarts Buck, and then Mafex Spider-Man. And on the far right, we have the Mezco Punisher. So you can see how Mezco and Soap Studios stack up next to each other. Definitely a different sort of style and body type. Mezco is absolutely using more comic proportioned bodies as far as being super buff, and it looks like Soap Studio is going more for an accurate look to the actual character's body type. My girl keeps mentioning that, you know, this is exactly how his how Grant's body type looks. So, you know, aside from the pelvic area, I do think that they nailed the body type as well. I will agree with her there. And there he is next to a Marvel Legend. So that looks pretty good as far as scaling them with Marvel Legends. If you want to have them beating up some suited goons from Legends or something like that, I guess you could do that. I wouldn't do that. You know, I don't like to mix and match too much. But there's another Mafex figure on the right. The really, really nice Deadshot figure that is oversized, though. I thought that would look good next to this guy, though. And then there he is next to Green Arrow from the same line, which I will be reviewing next. I'll be taking a close look at Green Arrow following this review. And these two stack up pretty nicely. You know, they're from the same universe. They've appeared on each other's shows on CW, so I thought that was cool that they kicked off the line with these two guys. Maybe they'll continue on and do more characters from this universe. But, you know, it's bittersweet with this figure. I do like some things about him, but, you know, that whole lower torso or pelvic area articulation is a little weird. And you know what? These things are pretty pricey. You know, I have to make the comparison to Mezco figures. A Mezco figure is about $80-90 for a standard Mezco figure. I see these figures going for about $109 on Big Bad Toy Store. Now, I'm not sure if that's Big Bad Toy Store's markup or if there's somewhere in Hong Kong where you can get these directly and they are about the same price as a Mezco figure. Still, I don't think that the quality and everything here is as good as Mezco. They're decent figures. They're not bad. They definitely have some fun factor. But if the price point was lower, I think it would be more attractive. $109 for one of these is very, very pricey and a little outlandish in my personal opinion. So I wouldn't personally buy these at $100 a pop. I would just go for the more known Mezco figure, to be quite honest. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'll see how I really feel after I review Green Arrow. But thanks for hanging out. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.
That's crispy.